Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Lax, and today I kind of want to talk about never giving up in Pokemon. And I made a video about this previously, and I wanted to kind of showcase like other moments of it happening. So I have this really insane game today of Insult versus Solon for World Cup of Pokemon. I believe Spain needed the victory, and Northeast also needed the victory, so it was a very intense game at the moment. And of course, the players are playing for their records as well. So to kind of get into it. Game starts out pretty normal. Cinderace Deoxys forces that out. He goes for Will-O-Wisp. It reveals Choice Band Outrage on this team. So U turns into his Tusk. So pretty normal game going on. Nothing crazy right now, but you'll see how this quickly delves into one of the most insane games I've ever seen in this tier. So Solon is just going for Outreach Trip, and Insult goes for an EQ. So that kind of sucks to be confused there, but it's not the biggest deal at the end of the day. Alright, two spin kills, forces in Deoxys because Deoxys will always live a zero attack from Tusk. Someone gets the double to get treads in. Good play. He gets the rocks up now. And there's this weird play that started happening in World Cup where people would Terra Ghost their treads when the Tusk is weakened in order to keep hazards up all the time. I understand it, but at the same time, I don't think it was absolutely necessary because now you're down, your strongest mechanic, your best mechanic, and all for trading hazards basically. So Insult reveals bulk up, which means he actually does trade well into treads, which is unfortunate for Solwind. If he wasn't bulk up, then he would still have a plus speed treads available, and his Tusk would be dead, but it's fine. Darkrai comes in, scouts the Thunder Wave well, goes to his Raging Bolt, starts combining up. This is pretty tricky. He reveals that he is actually plus speed Raging Bolt, so he's faster than Insult's Dragonite, and he actually gets the crit through multi-scale. And I'll put the calc up here, but that absolutely mattered given he's a timid Raging Bolt instead of modest. So critting through Dragonite, which I believe was Scale Shot on this set, is a pretty big deal. And then Ogerpon comes in and misses Play Rough, which would have put this in the range of Sucker for some mind games, or even Slowking for some mind games. So at this position, you're like, how is this winnable? After missing this play rough, which was like his only chance to get back in, how is this winnable? Well, here's how it goes. When there's a gambit, there's a way. So he goes to Thunderbolt on Slowking. Psyshock kind of puts in sucker range of gambit. And this is, I would say, maybe a little greedy to just go for Thunderbolt, but I guess he was preventing the Swords Dance, which was his way of preventing choke. But the issue with that is that it lets Terra Ghost Gambit set up for free versus Zamazenta. Because keep in mind, Solon's Terra is already exhausted on treads, so he doesn't really have a Terra that could respond to this or like some kind of set. Like if this was Terra Dark Zamazenta, for example, it could have maybe dealt with it. But Crunch is doing nothing as you can see, so it still just gets free swords dances up. I also think maybe he could have Iron Danced a couple times more, or Iron Defense, not Danced, a couple times more because I think that makes the trade a little more favorable. Because as you'll see with this +4 Iron Head, that it's able to 2 a KO, and now it's in 2 a KO range, and Crunch doesn't do enough. And I don't think it was ever really doing enough, as you can see by the 31% damage from first Crunch, 33%, then it's basically like an impossible roll to get in order to kill this at this point. So here's where it gets tricky. This has happened to me on ladder many times, maybe happened to you before, but Deoxys has the ability pressure. And what pressure means is that if you spam in Sucker Punch because you're 1 HP, he can stall it out really easily. Like he only needs to stall out 3 Sucker Punches and then attack, and then Gambit has 0 Sucker Punches, and Darkrai is able to just clean it and finish it off. But you'll see here that Insult decides, fuck it, we ball, and he just attacks straight away, not even risking a single pressure play from this, which is just an insanely ballsy play to bring himself back into this. And from this point on, if he's with Darkrai, it could be cooked. It could be really bad actually. He would win on the spot, but I believe Insult had the team and he knew that it was nasty pot. So from here on out, he just has to get the sucker turns right in order to win the game. Which I believe you'll see. He just spams Sucker. He used 3 and someone decided to attack. It's a 50-50. It's really hard to decide like when to attack, when not to attack, but it's tough. Like it's a really interesting dilemma created by King Gambit is that if you're playing against a Sucker Pokemon, or if you are the Sucker Pokemon rather, you should maybe always attack first, like just straight up Iron Head, because no one's gonna expect you to sucker or not sucker for the first time, right? So yeah, this was just a really crazy game that I thought that like a lot of things went so poorly for him with the crit, with the miss, and he was still able to bounce it back with. This was the most important, I would say. This correct play of King Gambit sucker instead of Kowtow, because if he thunderclapped on Kowtow, you're too low to kill Zamazenta. But by getting the sucker punch on the Thunderbolt, which could arguably be a bit greedy from Soulwind, he's able to be at full HP and start setting up instantly, which is a big deal. And that allows him to win this trade out. And then he gets this play correct, which is, that takes a lot of cojones to not sucker at all the first time, which, we talked about this. Like, kowtowing first, attacking first might be better sometimes than sucker punching first. Because your opponent is likely not gonna not gonna attack. But at the same time, like if he was like a 4 attacks Deoxys, a 4 attacks Darkrai, you can't really attack on the first attempt, right? So I think the knowledge of having Solon's team, which was a vert team, shout outs to Go, the knowledge of having his team is what allowed him to kind of make that play of just kowtowing Deoxys instantly, knowing it's nasty play. And then from here on out, he's like, all right, I'm safe now. I just got to get the sucker place right. So yeah, that was just a really cool game I thought, and I really like this idea of like hashtag never give up on your games because it's Pokemon. Any single thing can happen. Like anything can happen that would screw your game up completely. Like this crit, this miss, but it's always winnable, especially if you have a King Gambit. That mon is like low key kind of broken, but yeah, just sharing my thoughts on a really cool game that happened, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this little insight. And I don't know, I really like this idea of always playing your odds out, never forfeit early if there's even a chance to win. And that chance could include your opponent messing up as well. But yeah, thank you for watching, and hope you have a good day.